Hey everyone, this is Eurus and I am going to walk you through how to create some of the skies in Starsiege tribes. These are using the skybox. Just to flip through a couple of the others for you to see here. This is of course on Stonehenge. This map is kind of notorious for not having the fog and skies kind of blend in the way you need it to without it looking too crazy. So I think we've resolved how to do that. And anyway, these guys can really be created in just a few minutes with the tools that I'll show you. Okay, so the first thing we want to cover is we want to make sure that you have xSky. This is the plugin that will allow you to use the skybox. So that you'll want to head over to tribes.us. This is tr1bes.us. When you get here, you'll want to go to Browse and then Plugins. And from the plugins place, you're going to want to click on xSky, and you'll click this green download link to pull that down. And the files, once you get them, there's a README file to tell you this, but just to clarify, you're going to put your DLL in the Tribes plugins folder, and then you're going to put your script inside the config modules folder. And if you run this and you see some issues where xSky doesn't appear to be working, you're going to want to make sure to check if you have clientsky.dll in your plugin folder. And if you do, either rename it like this or similar, or just simply remove it. If it's still not working, then you'll want to check your client press file and see if you have pref sky detail equal to 0. This is not common, but if this is set, it will not work. So you'll want to either remove that or set that, I think, to 1. In our cases, we've just removed it. And then your skies will just go in the base entities skies folder. The skies folder is not there by default, so you'll need to create this inside your entities folder. And any skies come in a zip format. You just put the zip in there. You don't need to decompress it or anything. And the main focus of this tutorial is to show you how we create the sky zip file. It consists of a DML file, all the sides of the skybox, an optional settings file, which contains these settings, and an optional preview image of the sky. It says optional, but I would also, as Smokey has said, just strongly suggest you add this. There are going to be some tools that come out in the future that will take advantage of this, and I'll show those towards the end of the video. So that's it. Let's get into the tools, and I'll show you how to create these. Okay, so let's take a look at the tools. I've got these all pulled up. I'm just going to touch on them real quick, and then we'll get into actually creating some skies. So the first tool here is called Skybox AI. This is where probably 98% of my time was spent creating skies. This site is a paid subscription, but don't worry about that. We've got some other sites that do not require a paid subscription. We have Mini Worlds. This is a free site. The quality doesn't look as good here, and that is true of the files when you download them. However, you can use an upscale, and I'll show you that as well. We have a free upscaler that you can use, and you can create some pretty cool skies with this as well. Then we have another real basic freebie. This one is for space. If you want to create space images, there's some different randomization here. There's not a whole lot to this one, but you can kind of play with that and get kind of a feel for what you can do with this. Most of it's just point and click, turning things on and off, that type of thing. But it's free and something you can play around with. Next, I've got this HDRI to cube map. Now, this site is pretty important. So when we download the skyboxes from these different sites, sometimes we can get them exactly in the format that we want. Other times we get them in a rectangular shape that is called an Equirectangular image. And we'll get into that in a minute. But you can upload those to this site, and it will actually take that image, break it apart, and allow you to create the cube maps for that. and the cube maps, there's like 3 different formats you can save. Anyway, we'll get into that when we actually need to do it. The last thing we need to review here, we've got 2 scripts. I've got one that processes zip files that you download from the Skybox AI site, and another one that is used if you download it from the HDR Cube site. And what these scripts do is they create the DML file, they create the images and name them correctly, because when you get them from these sites, they're not always named exactly the way you need them to be. It also resizes and generates the preview file, creates the settings file, and that's pretty much it. Then it puts it in a zip file, and it's really just ready to drag and drop into your tribes folder to test out in the game. So it goes pretty quick. I do want to point out in these scripts, there's a section here for write DML. I did not create that. That code was provided to me from, I believe his name's Bovati or Bovidi. A lot of people will just probably call him Bob or Bove. I don't know. Sorry if I butcher the name. But completely instrumental in helping me be able to create this DML file. Without this code, I wouldn't be able to create these skies. And also, of course, with Smokey's Skybox xSky plugin. But this is the most critical part of this. Everything else in here is just really quality of life things to make it simple, so you don't have to go do a bunch of manual stuff to get these in here. It's a PowerShell script. You can probably easily throw this into ChatGPT or some other AI and have it spit it. Just tell it to change it to Python if you use that, or whatever you prefer. So on that note, let's create a couple of skies, see how quick it is. All right, so we're going to start with Skybox. This is the paid subscription site. You can sign up for an account, and I think they give you 15 image generations or Skybox generations. Unfortunately, though, without a paid subscription, you can't download them, but you can at least play with it and see if you would care about it. So I'm first going to click first of all, there's lots of different things you could click on here that are like starting places. But for us, we're going to click this one here. This model is above the clouds, and there are lots of models, and if you dig into some of these, you can get into some other specific types of models. They basically just are like styles, if you will, for the sky. So this one is like above the clouds. So of course the premise is that you're like up in the sky, but you're not out of the atmosphere, and you can kind of create whatever you want to see here. So I'm just going to hit, and also you have negative text, and you can do enhanced prompts. Enhanced prompts will just make this better, or more descriptive, I should say. Better is maybe not the right word to use there. So I'm just going to hit generate. It's going to create a more descriptive prompt. You can see it's changed there, and it is currently generating the sky. Typically, this takes about a minute. I've never seen it take more than 3 minutes. Just depends on their server load, I guess. Okay, so another sky has generated. This is different from the first one. It's got some cool looks to it. Some things do not look normal, but you're going to get a lot of weird generations. It's kind of a cool pattern up there. Anyway, let's make one that's, let's say, purple clouds, green clouds, storm, high winds. I don't know if that's going to do anything. Let's just see what that does. I'm going to go ahead and hit enhance prompt. Okay, so got some pretty crazy clouds. Look down there, looks kind of neat. Up here looks pretty cool. I think I'm okay with this. This is just a demo. I'm not going to critique it too much. So let's say I want to use this sky. So first thing I'm going to do is click the download link, and I'm presented with several options. So this tool can be used for a lot of different things, but for us, the 2 things we care about are the Equirectangular PNG file or the cube map default. And for the sake of just showing you how fast you can do this, I'm going to click cube map default. and it has now downloaded the file. I'm going to go to the file. Inside the file are just these images that are named according to what side is supposed to be there. So I am going to now just go to my other folders. I'm going to show you that in my downloads folder, let's refresh this. Here's the file here. So I'm going to hold down Shift, right click this. I'm going to click copy as path, and I'm going to go to the script that I showed you, which is this one is for the skybox zip, and I'm going to replace this with the location of the file, and let's just call it ABC raw, just the demo name. And this is my destination folder, and I'm going to hit play here, and it basically generated everything I needed. That was pretty quick. And so now I'm going to flip back over to my skies folder, and you can see there's a folder here now called ABC raw, and inside it is the zip file that contains everything we need for tribes. I also had the script just lay everything out here in case we need to review any of this stuff and change anything in there. And this is the main file we'll need. So I'm just going to take this. I'm just going to cut this, or you can copy it or whatever. I'm going to go over into my base entities skies folder. I'm just going to paste this in there. So it's just called abc_raw. And then I'm going to go under my modules folder to xSky.acs. And I am going to name the default ABC raw. I'm just going to save that file, and let's go launch tribes and see what this looks like in game.
The battle begins.
Alright, so here is the sky that we just created. Now let's talk about this for just a second. I have a script in here that is going to allow me to change a couple of things, preferably the fog settings. There's not too much I can do here. Notice this is just, I called the file raw because I wanted you to see what it looks like before we make any other changes to it. So, I mean, the sky looks pretty good, but it doesn't really blend in. Like, there's such a drastic contrast. And I'm skiing horribly, but there's just a drastic contrast between the land and how that stuff looks. So, let's go fix that. And I'll show you how to easily fix this and make it so that the fog kind of blends in. You know, even though you can change these fogs, this is probably closest to what you'd normally have for the fog settings, but even still the contrast is just so steep. If we go up higher, you can see that's just, you know, it's not preferable. It just doesn't look that great. So let's go fix it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is go back to where we started a moment ago. If you remember here, we downloaded the cube map default. This time, we're going to choose the Equirectangular PNG. So let's download that first. Alright, we have that image now, so let's go to our downloads folder. This is the Equirectangular, so I'm going to double click this and we're going to end up in Photoshop. Alright, so here's the image of basically it's a whole skybox in one image. You can tell some of the stuff looks compressed across the top and the bottom. So I have this other file open. It's just, I call it Skywork. And all it is a blank canvas that basically represents the same size as this. However, this is the addition of a gradient fill pattern that goes up the page here. The point of this is to emulate a fog that we have in tribes that will be more consistent with older skies and just how it normally looks with the transition between the terrain and the sky when it disappears in the distance. You don't want that sharp contrast that we saw just a moment ago. So the color you choose here for your gradient And by the way, you can use Photoshop or anything else. Any other tools should have like a gradient fill pattern. This is just gradient fill over to transparency. And the colors you want to use here are really a personal preference. I thought that people like Thumper, and I believe he uses 180 for red, green, and blue. So all three of those values are set to 180. I've talked to others like Killer 2001, and he likes it just a touch darker. So his is 150 for all three of those values. So whatever is your preference. So the first thing I'm going to do is go over here. I'm going to copy this layer. I'm just going to paste it in here. I'm going to put it underneath the gradient, and of course there, just you can tell it's just kind of filling over. So next thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to go to File. I'm going to export this as quick PNG. We will call this ABC fog fix, I guess. Save that. And now I'm going to go over to our folder here where we've got that file. Let's refresh it. Alright, so there's our file. So now we want to go to this site that I told you was pretty important earlier. That's the HDRI to CubeMap site. You don't have to upload an HDRI file or an HDR file. That's in what it was originally intended for, I believe. But you can just hit upload, and we're going to pick our Equirectangular file. And we are going to upload that. So that's in here now. We can now see the skies in there. We're good to go there. I'm not going to worry about the CubeMap view. I'm just going to click on Save. And this is important. You don't want to forget to change the resolution or it will look pretty bad. So you want to at least go to 1024. You can go to 2048. I think xSky supports higher, but just be careful based on your video card. So I'm going to pick, just for the simplistic piece, I'm going to pick 1024. I'm going to leave it as PNG, but I'm going to make sure to select this bottom one here. I want all the images broken apart. So I'm going to hit Process. Then I'm going to hit Save. And it has saved it as this name here. So let's go get that name. Just like we did before, I'm going to hold down Shift, right click, copy as path. I'm going to go to my PowerShell script, but this time I'm going to use the HDR CubeMap version. It's just the file format is a little different there, so I'm going to call this one ABC Fog Fix. And I'm going to hit play, good, or run, whatever you want to call that. Alright, so let's go to our skies. So now I've got a fog fix. Same thing as before. Got our preview image. Everything's here. Just going to copy this. Go to our skies folder. Paste it in here. And then I am also going to go to my modules folder. Oh, sorry. Fig modules folder. Go down here. I'm going to edit this again. So this time, instead of ABC raw, we called it fog fix. I'm going to save that. And now we'll see what it looks like in Tribes.
The battle begins.
All right. So we got the sky in here now. You can see that as it gets towards the terrain, except for the high mountain peaks, there is not as much contrast. So if we look up here, it's just not as sharp a contrast around the edges. So it seems to, it looks a little cleaner. Plays more like the maps you're probably accustomed to playing, as far as how they look and feel. If you go up high and you're shooting at somebody, you're not going to get distracted by how the sharp contrast is blending into things, making it a little harder to see. So this is pretty much it. If you're happy with this and you want to use that subscription service, then you're pretty much all set. You can start making skies now just using this tutorial and the links in the description. But if you can't do that and you want a free way to do it, hang tight and I'll show you how to do it. Okay, so let's look at doing one where we don't have to have a subscription. In this case, we're going to use miniworlds.run. There's a couple examples here that are just kind of all over the place for like a skybox. They got indoor ones. You can do whatever kind of sky. In our case, let's type in like dark, smoky, lava planet with fire and ash. See what this generates. Okay, so here is what it came up with. Just to save time, I'll just say, yeah, it's pretty cool. Let's use this. So I'm just going to download this guy. And I'm going to right click, save as, and we're just going to call this example A. Alright, so we pulled this guy down, and let's go ahead. I guess a couple things I should point out. If we look at the one that we downloaded from the other site, there's a certain size that we want. The ones that worked well are the ones that you've seen up to this point, 8192 by 4096, the file size or the dimensions. So we need to get that. But when we save these, you'll see that they're lower quality. So this one is at 2048 by 1024. So we need a better quality image. So the next thing I'm going to show you here is Upscale, AI Image Upscaler. If you click on pricing, there's pricing tied to this, but I've just downloaded it. I used the free version, and it's never told me that I need to buy credits or anything like that. So you'll actually download this application, and once you have that downloaded, I'm going to go ahead and run it here. And it's pretty easy to use. I'm going to select an image, and it's going to be this example A we just got. So here's our image. Let's see, and then we're going to upscale. I want this thing to be upscaled. Here's the upscale here. I'm going to leave it to 4 times upscale. We want to get it to this 8192 by 4096. I'm just going to select output folder, downloads, and I'm going to hit upscale. Alright, the image has been upscaled. Let's go check in here. Refresh this. This should be the one we're looking for. Let's double check the properties. Yep, okay, it's the right size we need. And so everything else from this point you already know how to do. So that would be open this file in Photoshop. And in this case, let's see, I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste it over here, drag it down there. File, save as, or actually file, export. And yeah, we'll just call this example B. Alright, and then we're going to go back to the other site. This one here, I'm going to upload our image. Save this. Remember to choose a resolution that's decent. Alright, so I've got this one here. Same as before. Copy that path. And let's go see what it looks like. And tribes. Okay, excuse my GUI layout here. I am in the middle of making some changes.
The battle begins.
Alright. So here's our crazy fire world that we just made. Probably doesn't go with this this backdrop so well. It doesn't really flow with it, does it? Anyway, this is how you can add skies. This is a free version that we tried here. I could have picked a much better type of style to go with this, something more natural looking rather than this craziness. Anyway, the tools are there for you to use, so please go make lots and lots of skies. If you make some of these skies and you don't know how to distribute them, either get with me or Invader Jim, and we can get the skies uploaded to the site. I'd love to build out as many as we can. I'd love to have like 100 skies that people could download and choose from. So there's about 30 on the site right now. Just let me know. Ping any of us. We'll get them up there. And stick around for just a moment, and I'll give you a quick preview of something to come regarding that preview image. Okay, so I am in a different config for tribes. This one has got a script called xprefs. It's something that Smokey is working on, and there's a lot of functionality in it, but the big thing that we're talking about is with just xSky. So if I go to my options, the scripts are located here. There are a number of things in here, but we're going to focus just on xSky. This is my, I can basically select a default map that will load on any, or I'm sorry, a default sky that will load on any map. This mission, the current mission I'm on, I can assign a sky to it, and this is where the preview images come in. So when I cycle through some of these, I'll get, there's the one we just created a moment ago, but got the different skies here. And as soon as I select one, if I just flip back, I can see instantly that that sky's there. If I flip back, change it to a different one, you can see that now that one's loaded, and it'll save that. So that's saved. The next time I load up tribes and go back to Stonehenge, it'll be whatever this map is here that I'm selecting. So there's plenty of flexibility there. Anyway, just wanted to take a minute to show you this is something that's coming down the pipe. But if you create skies, please use the script to create the preview image. It'll pay off in the long run. Otherwise, we would have a lot of blank spaces here, and it wouldn't be as helpful if you're trying to remember one of the skies you had, but not sure what the name of it was. This would be pretty helpful in that regard. So that's it. Please go out and create some skies if you're up for it. And remember, just get in touch with me or Invader Jim if you need to get these on the site. We'd love to make sure everybody can have access to it. That's it. Thanks for watching.